So it's been a long time since the Quebec Nordiques left the NHL, but now it's time to bring them back. I'm going to be rebuilding the Quebec Nordiques for the next 15 seasons, and we're going to return this team to greatness, and we're going to build a dynasty. We also just got the first overall pick, so that's perfect. Hopefully there's going to be a franchise potential player available here. But before we get to the draft here, we have to go through the expansion draft, and this is how we're going to be building our team. Now, how is this video going to work? Well, for the first 5 years, we're going to be strictly rebuilding this team right here. I think it's safe to say that within the first 5 years, we're not going to be competing for a Stanley Cup. In the next 5 years, that's when this team's really going to be building a bit of momentum and making the playoffs and competing for a Stanley Cup. And in those final 5 years, that's when this team's going to be the best. Not only are we going to be competing for a Stanley Cup, but we're going to be a top 3 team in the entire league, and ideally, we're bringing home multiple Stanley Cups. Now, I'm not going to show every single selection here during the expansion draft, but I will show some of the notable ones, including this one right here where we select Dustin Wolf from the Calgary Flames. No clue why they're not protecting him, but you know what? This is a steal for us. I also do want to mention this is before free agency and all the moves that happened, so Allmark is still on Boston in this simulation. That's why we were able to pick up Jeremy Swayman. But Kuznetsov, you could be good for 1 year. We'll trade you away at the deadline, 50% retained, and then we'll be able to get some assets. Now this is going to be a big time move for us, bringing Samuel Girard onto the team, 25 years old and 84 overall, but he's already got an X Factor, and he's locked down for a couple seasons. Okay, I have absolutely no clue what Dallas is cooking up here, but Thomas Harley, I'll definitely bring you to the team here. No question about that. How are you even available? Why are they not protecting you? I don't know what Dallas is doing. And then low-key, a deal like this actually would make a lot of sense. We pick up Shane Gostisbehere, re-sign him, and then immediately trade him away after that. We could get some good assets from him. He would have a bit of trade value. We're definitely doing that move. Speaking of big-time pickups, the next one's going to be from the Florida Panthers, as we're going to bring Brandon Montour to the team. He's going to need an extension immediately, but we should have enough cap space. Like right now, we've only spent $28 million, and we already have 13 players on the team. So based on the players we've acquired so far, we've got a lot of defensemen, but a majority of them are left defensemen. And Keandre Miller, I kind of have to bring you to the team. 86 overall, 23 years old, and you're on a great contract. This is a must-have player for us. Okay, we all know we have way too many defensemen here, but Cam York is available for the Philadelphia Flyers. He's going to have trade value. We're going to pick him up here, trade him away immediately after the expansion draft, but I can't pass on Cam York here. He's just too good of an asset. All right, so at this point, the Quebec Nordiques are just going to be known for their defense because we're only selecting defensemen out here. Eric Chernak, you have to come to the team as well. 4.7 for the next state. I can't turn that contract down. Another guy I definitely can turn down, Max Domi. I'm going to have to give him an extension immediately, but it's stick on the ice legend Max Domi. You know we have to bring him to the team here. Another guy that would be a great pickup here would be Elias Lindholm. We could either re-sign him and then trade him away or keep him on the team for a little bit. So I think Elias Lindholm's going to be joining us here. And then when it comes to this next player, I mean, it's really between Marchessault and Chandler Stevenson. We bring in Marchessault and then trade him away. I think we're going to do that. We only have $22 million in cap space, so I'm not really too sure how we're going to afford to bring all these guys back, but we're going to find a way. Sonny Milano, $1.9 million for 3 years. That's a pretty cheap deal. And then with our final selection, it's going to be Boris Suave from the Winnipeg Jets. That's going to bring in our final goaltender, and now the draft's complete. The Quebec Nordiques are here to stay, and you know what? They got themselves a great team. We're going to see Jeremy Swayman. We're going to see Dustin Wolf. We got 2 great goaltenders, and the defense, you already know that's going to be elite here, but we are going to have to fix up that forward core. So we finished up with the expansion draft, but now we have the entry-level draft. We got the first overall pick, and we got to make a splash here. So with the first overall pick for the Quebec Nordiques, who are we going to be going with here? Ballbrook doesn't look like a bad player. You know what? He's a playmaker, projected first overall. He can jump into the NHL immediately. He'd be a great selection, but this guy right here wouldn't be bad either. His similar style is Teemu Selanne, so he's going to be a great player, but this guy's Patrick Kane. Honestly, I don't think we miss with either of these guys, so we're just going to go with the guy projected number 1 overall. So we're bringing an 80 overall playmaker to the team immediately. That's a big time selection for us. Now, before I make any more selections here, if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the channel because we're trying to hit 70k by the end of the month, and if you don't subscribe, we won't be able to do that. Hopefully this guy's going to have medium elite potential because a medium elite potential goaltender in the second round would be elite. Only medium starter, but you know what? I'll take that. So after the second round, the rest of this draft was pretty forgettable. We're not getting any notable prospects here. I think the best thing we got was bottom 6 potential, but this is where the big time plays are going to be made here. We have about $23 million in cap space. We have 9 million players we have to sign here. Now there's one thing that I haven't quite mentioned yet. We're only allowed to make 3 moves per season, so whether that's free agent signing or trades, we're only allowed to make 3 moves, so we got to make sure that we're making smart decisions out here. And right off the bat, I don't think I made smart decisions because look at all the players that we have to re-sign here. What was I cooking up? Now, of course, the first thing we're going to do is start with the UFAs because I can qualify RFAs and then we can sign them later. But Jonathan Marchessault, we're going to start with this, $7.6 million for the next 4 years. Brandon Montour, I'd like to lock you down for the next 8 years. I don't think we're going to be able to do that. Actually, yes, we will, and we're going to get you at a pretty good price. We'll do 6.5 for the next 8. So 6.5 for Brandon Montour. That's an absolute steal for us. Don't really know why I gave him an 8-year extension when he's already 29 years old, but you know what? Stick on the ice is cooking here. Shane Gostisbehere, we can do 5.7 million for the next 3, and then we'll trade you away. Elias Lindholm, what are you going to be looking for here? Honestly, this isn't too bad of a deal, so how about 5.1 million for the next 3? And then to cap it all off, Max Domi, what are you going to be looking for here? Obviously, I want to do a long deal. We'll do 7 years at 4.4 million. So I believe those are all the important UFAs. Now, hopefully they're all going to be signing. Shane Gostisbehere saying yes. Brandon Montour saying yes. Domi's going to be saying no here. Lindholm saying yes. Marchessault saying no. We only have 2 more guys we have to bring back. I mean, Matthias Janmark, I guess I could re-sign him, but he's not a priority right now. So Marchessault, how about we do 8.1 for the next 4 years? That's pretty fair for you. And then Max Domi, I can basically give you exactly what you're looking for, but I want to do 1 more year. So how about we do 4.45 for the next 6? So we're going to be locking both of those guys down long term. We have $17 million to work with. Now we'll start working on the rest of the team. Now, obviously, Jeremy Swayman, you're one of the most important pieces, so we have to make sure you're sticking around. So here's 6.5 for the next 8 years. Then when it comes to Dustin Wolf, we're going to do a 4-year deal at 2.5 million. That'll keep him around as a backup. He might only be a 79 overall, but he's got that elite potential, and I think he'll turn into something. Okay, stick on the ice was not cooking. Both players said no. So Jeremy Swayman, here's 6.7 for the next 8. And then Dustin Wolf, because you said no, we're actually going to do a bit less. We're going to do 1.85 for the next 3. So we still have $10 million to work with here, and obviously Thomas Harley's going to have to come back on an 8-year deal. This is an absolute no-brainer for us. We'll probably do 5.2 million for the next 8. Actually, let's make that 5.3 million, and then by giving him that contract right there, he's guaranteed to say yes. Kaliev, we know what you turn into, so I want to do an 8-year deal for sure, no question about it. How about we do 2 million for the next 8? And then when it comes to the rest of the RFAs here, if I want to keep you around, I'm going to qualify you as an RFA, but I think I'm okay with letting the rest of these guys walk. So we got to make some big moves early on. You already knew that Jonathan Marchessault and Shane Gostisbehere were going to be traded. You just didn't know where. Well, they're off to the Vancouver Canucks. We're picking up Hronek Hoglander, a 3rd and 4th round pick from Vancouver, and this is a big time deal for us. We're going to be freeing up a ton of money here, but we're also getting a ton of great assets. They're going to be saying no, so are we just going to go 2 for 2 here? I mean, 2 for 2 would work for me. They're actually saying no to that. I'll include a 3rd round pick, and that should be enough. So here's a 3rd round pick for 2025, and just like that, we're getting this deal done. You're really saying no to that, Vancouver? I feel like this is a pretty fair deal. I mean, you're taking on a lot of money in a deal like this, but you know what? I think it works for both sides. They're going to be saying no, but a 7th rounder will make the difference. So here's a 2024 7th round pick, and Hronek and Hoglander aren't joining the team. It needs to be a 6th rounder. Okay, at this point, I feel like Vancouver's bugging, but here's your 6th round pick. Do I have to include another 4th rounder? I think I'm going to have to. Supposedly, we were very close in getting this deal done, but now it's going to cost us another 4th round pick. But at the end of the day, we did get 2 great players. All right, so this is the next deal we're going to be doing. Samuel Girard, I had big plans in the future for you, but you know what? Things have changed here. Thomas Harley, I didn't expect you to be on this team. Keandre Miller, I didn't think you'd be on this team either. So we got to make sure that we have enough cap space to keep all these guys around. So Girard and Lindholm's going to be sent over to the Boston Bruins. We're getting Matt Poitras. You can be a good 3rd line guy for us. Frederick, it's a similar situation with him. He's going to be a good bottom 6 piece, and we're also going to get a 1st round pick in this deal. They're saying no because it's just a bit low, but we'll include a 7th round pick and we'll get this one done. So just like that, we're clearing up more cap space, but we're also bringing in 2 very valuable pieces. All right, so this is going to be the final deal we pull off here. It's going to be Chernak and Kuznetsov at 50% retained over to the Rangers. We bring in Lafreniere. He's still got a ton of potential, medium elite, 85 overall. He's going to turn into a star player for us, and I want to make sure I can get him when his value's at its lowest. So I'm going to offer this package over. They're saying no. If I have to include a 2nd round pick, I will, and I think we're going to be doing that here. So here's a 2nd round pick for 2025, and that should be enough to get Lafreniere. So those are the 3 moves we do this season. Our forward core is going to be terrible, but that doesn't matter. We have our 1st round picks for the next 2 years. We're slowly rebuilding the team here. So as we know, there's some big time extensions that have to be given out here. One of them is going to Keandre Miller. Of course, we're going to do 8 years, and that's going to be at 5.5 million. That's going to be a steal for a 23-year-old. When it comes to Lafreniere, of course, we want to lock him down long term as well, but he's looking for a bit of a bag here, so I think we're actually going to wait on this extension. Cam York, I really don't plan on bringing you back here, depending on what your asking price is. Like, if you're not looking for too much, we can keep you around, but this is a bit much. How about we do 3.9 million? If we do 3.9 million, we can make this happen. Trent Frederick, for a bottom 6 guy, I'm not hoping to pay you too much, but we can do 2.7 for the next 2 years. That's pretty fair. Hoglander, you're a stick on the ice legend, so if I can keep you around at a decent price, I will, but this is actually a bit expensive for me, so we're going to hold off. This team is not going to be able to score goals this season, therefore we're going to see absolutely no success. When it comes to the defense, this is the best in the entire league. You cannot convince me there's a defensive core that's better than this right here. Defensively, we're elite. Goaltending wise, we're absolutely elite. Jeremy Swayman, Dustin Wolf, these are 2 guys we can rely on. When it comes to the forward core though, yeah, we're screwed here. Nobody is going to score for this team, so we're going to struggle, but at least we know what we have to adjust next season. And also, through me making my 3 trades during the offseason, we're not making any trades at the deadline. We're just simming right to the end of the year. Before we do anything, though, we got to make sure that Lafreniere gets locked down because he's smartened up here, and we're going to do 6.1 for the next 8. On top of him signing a great deal, Hollander 2.8 for the next 8. Why would I ever say no to that? Now, I don't want to say we were historically bad because we really weren't. Ignore the fact that St. Louis finished dead last in the entire league. That doesn't matter. The Quebec Nordiques 20th in the entire league, a 37, 35, and 10 record. Our scoring, though, might have been historically bad because who's going to be leading the team in scoring here? Well, that's going to be Hollander. He had 47 points, and then it's Max Domi with 47, then it's Brandon Montour with 47. The plus minuses clearly aren't good here, but the one thing clearly holding this team back is scoring. This team just can't score right now. They can't score to save their lives, but are we really surprised at that? Meanwhile, Jeremy Swayman, 32 wins, 3 shots, a 912 and a 282. I can live with these numbers right here. It's the fact that this team's not scoring. But at least we know we have to address over the offseason. Clearly, we got to bring in some snipers, and I don't think that's going to be too difficult. Shout out to the Buffalo Sabres, Stanley Cup champions. They're taking down the Edmonton Oilers, but that's going to be the Quebec Nordiques next season. Not losing in the Stanley Cup final, but bringing home the Stanley Cup. So I was really hoping we were going to see Quebec jump when it came to the draft lottery results, but that's not going to happen. We're getting the 14th overall. So right off the rip here, I know this is going to be a bad trade because Max Domi is going to progress over the offseason, but I'd like to get this trade done sooner than later. So it's going to be Cam York, the 14th overall, and Max Domi over to the LA Kings. We're going to bring in T.J. Ginla. He's going to develop into a good player for us, potentially a top 6 player, maybe even a bottom 6 player, who knows. But Adrian Kempe, you're the guy I need here because you score goals. You'd be elite for this team. Hopefully this package right here is going to be enough. They're saying no. I'll include a 2nd round pick, but that's probably the most I'm willing to do here. T.J. Ginla and Kempe, they're going to be saying no to that, but we actually are really close, so I'll include a bit more. So I'll give up the 80th overall pick as well. This is a massive package right here, but we're bringing a Ginla to the team, and we're also bringing Adrian Kempe. So with us trading as many picks as we did away, obviously we're not going to be selecting that many prospects here. Boquist, I'm probably just going to qualify you as an RFA. How much are you looking for? I mean, that's not the end of the world here, but yeah, we'll just qualify you as an RFA and trade you away. Johansson, you're going to be walking. Knizhov, I would like to keep you long term here. What are we going to be looking at? We can do 5 years at 2.3 million. You're a good third pairing defenseman for us. Barrett Hayton will probably let you walk here, but I can qualify you as an RFA. Actually, how much are you looking for here? Never mind, we could probably get this done. So how does 2 years at 975k sound on a 2-way contract? I think that's pretty fair for you. And then Taylor Radish, we can do 1.5 for 2 years. So at the draft, we definitely addressed the scoring on this team by bringing Adrian Kempe onto the team, but we just have to bring better players in overall. And Sharon Govich, you'd be a nice pickup for the team. You could play some first line minutes, and 85 overall, you'd be one of the better players on this team. So Boquist, a 2nd and 3rd round pick, is going to be sent over to Calgary, and Sharon Govich is going to join this team. Now, before I get ahead of myself here, I have to make sure that Adrian Kempe is returning to this team. So how about we do 6.2 for the next 6 seasons? This team has $26 million in cap space when it comes to extensions, so it's a guaranteed fact that we're bringing everyone back here that we want to bring back. Joseph, how much are you looking for? Yeah, we could probably do this, but you know what? I'm going to wait because I'd like to do more than 1 season. Patra, you're an important bottom 6 piece for us, so here's 2.9 for the next 4 years. You're going to be manning that 3rd line for the future. And then when it comes to Jeremy Lauzon, I see him playing some big 3rd pairing minutes for us, so here's 5 years at 2.1 million. So the one thing that we haven't done in this video so far is sign a free agent, and this is going to be the last move heading into next season. It's going to be a big one. Carter Verhaeghe, I'm willing to do 9.4 million for the next 4 years. You're going to be a big time performer for this team. We need an elite centerman, and you're going to be that guy for us. So we've made our 3 moves. That's 2 trades and 1 free agent signing, but I think this team's in a much better spot now. So a couple small changes is having this team look elite. For Hagee, Kempe, and Ballbrook, they're going to be manning that first line gain a +5 boost. Then we're going to have Sharon Govich, Lafreniere, and Trent Frederick on the second line gain a +2. The bottom 6 is looking great here. The fourth line might be a bit weak, but you know what? I think we're in a great spot. The defense minus that third pairing is looking fantastic here. This top 4 is definitely going to be able to carry the way, and this goaltending tandem of Swayman and Wolf, absolutely elite. So we might miss the playoffs last season because this team couldn't score goals, but you know what? We addressed that problem. Now this team's definitely going to be making the playoffs. Alright, so we got some good and bad news here. The bad news, Quebec, they're going to be missing the playoffs. They were pretty close, though. We were 20th in the entire league, a 41, 36, and 5 record. If we improve the scoring a little bit, then we'll definitely be in the playoffs. The better news, well, Boston, they suck this season, and we have their first round pick, a 37, 37, and 8 record. Yeah, we're going to be getting 2 good picks here. Best case scenario, we somehow package up our 2 picks and get the first overall, and then get a franchise potential star. Kempe, you were a great addition to the team, 77 points here. Verhaeghe picking up 74. Brandon Montour, 66. I think we just have to improve the bottom 6 a little bit. Okay, Hoglander, you were really bad, like incredibly bad for some reason. You were minus 31 here. Joseph minus 18. Harley, I don't even care about anyone else except for Hoglander. How are you just significantly worse than everyone else? Like, we go from minus 31 to minus 18. Like, how does that happen? When it comes to the goaltending, both of these guys actually took a massive step back. Jeremy Swayman a 908 and a 307. Okay, maybe we have to fix the defense here, because the defense clearly isn't good right now. But you know what? I don't want to hit any panic buttons here. We're going to let the young guys develop here. Teague Ginla, hopefully he's going to be jumping into the lineup pretty quick for us. We're going to have a rematch of last season. Buffalo taking on Edmonton, and once again, the Buffalo Sabres are coming out on top. So Teague Ginla, hopefully you're going to be jumping into the lineup over the next couple of years. But you know what? I don't want to rush the process here. I just want to see what draft pick we're going to be getting. It looks like we're going to be getting the 9th overall from the Boston Bruins, and then we're going to have the 14th overall. So we're going to have 2 lottery picks here. I was really hoping one of them was going to jump to the top 3, but unfortunately that's not going to be the case here. But we could package these picks up and get something good. So I was really hoping that Port Martone was somehow going to drop to the 10th overall pick, but unfortunately LA's taking him at number 9 here. So with our 10th overall selection, we're going to go with Brian Brody here. I mean, it's not the worst pickup in the world, but I do want a sniper. Okay, he's a 76 overall. This was actually a very good pickup for us. I was thinking this guy was going to be like a 63 or something. No, this is actually a really good pickup for us. And then with the 14th overall pick, we're going on a bit of a risk here. Peltonen, we're going to be selecting you. You're projected around 18th overall, but we're going to be bringing you onto the team here, 73 overall. That's actually a good selection for us. He's a two-way forward, so he's not a playmaker, and that's the big thing. All right, so I don't think we're going to do too much here during the re-sign phase. This will be one of the moves we do, though. Joseph, I'll keep you around 4 years at 2.6 million. You're a good enough bottom 6 player for us. And then outside of that move right there, we're not doing anything. We're going to be rocking with the majority of the same team. We will make some upgrades to the bottom 6 though, and figure out what we're going to do with Hoglander. Alright, so Ballbrook, you're going to be sticking on this team long term. There's no question about it. So I'm going to give you your extension right now. We're going to do 6.1 for the next 8 years. That's going to be a steal for a first line guy such as yourself. And then when it comes to Trent Frederick, honestly, I don't know what we're going to do with you. Never mind. Yes, I do. 2.8 for the next 3 years. And then Dustin Wolf, you're the big question mark here. We already have Jeremy Swayman. I don't want to pay you 5.3 million, so I think we're going to trade you away. And that's not really the end of the world, because that goaltender that we did draft in the second round has actually turned into a really good player for us. I think he's already up to like a 75 overall, 74 overall. So within a couple of years, he can be the backup. So Hoglander, it did not work last season, so there's no point keeping you around here. We're going to trade you away. But honestly, this is a good deal for us. We bring in Wyatt Johnston. He's going to be a good scorer for us. He'll probably play in the bottom 6 here. He actually might even play on the first line. I haven't quite decided with him yet, but no matter what happens with Wyatt Johnston, it's going to be a great pickup for us. So Hoglander in a 3rd round pick is going to be sent over. They're going to say no to that one. Here's a 4th round pick as well, and that should be enough to get this deal done. I'm actually very surprised to say no to this. I'll include a 5th round pick. It probably won't even take a 5th rounder. How about a 2027 7th round pick? Is that going to be enough? They're saying no to that. I'll give you a 5th rounder then. A 5th rounder for 2027 should be enough to get this deal done right here. I don't really want to do more than this, and I guess I'm going to have to. I mean, to be fair, a lot of the picks I'm trading away have no value. The 3rd rounder does, but the 4th, 5th, and 7th round pick, they don't really have too much value here. So yeah, we're basically trading nothing away for Wyatt Johnston. Alright, so Dustin Wolf, we know we're not going to be bringing you back next season, so we might as well trade you now because you have a bit of trade value. Kaliev, you were a healthy scratch for us last season. I want to trade that contract away before you age out. I mean, you really shouldn't age out. You're what, 22 years old, 23 years old? Okay, you're 24 years old. But yeah, you're not going to age out. A 2nd round pick's also going to be shipped over. Ridley Gregg and Shane Pinto, 2 guys for the bottom 6 here. This is a big time move for us, and this is a very smart move. So we're allowed to make one more move here, and this is going to be the final one. Stolars, I'll give you 1.2 million for the next 2 years. You'll be our backup goaltender. The forward core is set, the defensive core is set, the goaltending is set. With all the young guys developing, this team should be making the playoffs. So the forward core is looking really good here. Wyatt Johnston, Bolbrook, and Verhage on the first line. Kempe, Sharangovich, and Lafreniere on the second. The bottom 6 is seeing some massive upgrades here. We have all 80 overalls. When it comes to the defense, that's still looking amazing here. Thomas Harley up to an 87 overall. You love to see it. Yeah, the 3rd pairing's a bit weak here, but we can live with it, especially when it comes to the goaltending. Jeremy Swayman, I know you can be the guy for us. We have a better team in front of you this season. Let's get into the playoffs. Now, Quebec, how could you do this to me? You're letting me down big time here. This team was playoff bound at the trade deadline, and then what did we proceed to do right after the trade deadline? Lose 10 straight games. A 43, 34, and 5 record. We were guaranteed the postseason. Then this team decided to go on a massive losing streak, and now we're missing out. Like, there's no reason this team right here should have missed the playoffs. We were playoff bound, and then we just completely collapsed in the final 20 games. Jeremy Swayman, you were great this season. 37 wins, 4 shots, a 914 and 273. The team just didn't show up in front of you. But you know what? I don't know if it's necessarily the team didn't show up in front of you or our coach didn't show up, because I think we need a new coach here. This man has let us down time and time again here. It's time to give up on that man. We're bringing in an entire new coaching staff in. Things are changing. The Arizona Coyotes matching up against the Toronto Maple Leafs, and Arizona comes out on top. What universe are we living in here? That's another season of us missing the playoffs here. I don't even think it's possible for us to get the 1st overall pick. I think the highest we can jump is up to number 5 here, but that's not going to be happening. We're just going to be getting the 17th overall. Also, St. Louis finished dead last once again and got the 1st overall pick, but we don't care about that. So we're finally going to be seeing one steal in the draft here, but I don't think he's going to be developing into too much. Devin, low elite potential, 59 overall grinder. I don't know how valuable of an asset he's going to be, but if he actually turns out to have elite potential, he could be pretty good for us. So in the re-sign phase, we're not going to be doing anything here. The only guy we're going to be losing is Taylor Radish, but we are firing that coach. We're bringing an entirely new coaching staff in. This team needs to make some big changes if they want to see success. So I like the trades that we made last season, bringing in Ridley Gregg and Shane Pinto. So I want to keep them around here. We'll do 2.4 for the next 3 when it comes to Ridley Gregg. And then Shane Pinto, where are you going to be looking for? I'd like to do a similar deal. We can do 1.9 for the next 2. Actually, let's make that a 3-year deal at 1.9. So we're basically going to have the exact same team coming back, but we do have $7.5 million to work with, so we could make one big signing. Now, when I said we're going to do one big signing, I wasn't thinking this was going to be the deal we were going to do, but I guess it will be. Lawson Crouse, $4.9 million for 1 season. Yeah, not really that big of a deal. Now, with this being such a big season, we got to load up that first line. For Heggie, Bulbrook, and Kempe on the first line, then Lafreniere, Johnston, and Sharangovich on the second. The bottom 6 is still looking great here, but you know what? Something's got to change with this team. We got ourselves a new coach. We have 3 amazing defensemen here. I don't really see why this team's struggling as much as they are. But you know what? I believe in the team I've built here. I believe in Jeremy Swayman. I believe in Stolars. I believe this team can make a push. And we still have one move left we can do, so we'll wait till the trade deadline and see how this team's looking. So the Quebec Nordiques actually don't look that bad right now. We're 11th in the entire league with a 34, 25, and 3 record. Our offense is pretty solid, 3.52. The defense could use a bit of work here, 2.95. That's certainly not one of the worst defenses in the entire league. Actually, it's one of the best here. We have the 5th best defense. Where's our offense rank? Because if we have a really good offense, then we're actually a good team here. Okay, Quebec's actually a really good team. There is one problem though. We're currently outside of the playoffs, being 11th in the entire league, because the Eastern Conference is so loaded right now. So the Nordiques are currently outside the playoffs, even though our team looks absolutely elite here. For Heggie, Kempe, Bulbrook, White, Johnston, you guys got to step up here. I can't have you guys having a negative plus minus. Jeremy Swayman, your numbers might not be looking the greatest here, but we're about to pull off a massive move. We got to change things up here. And Lafreniere, you're going to be shipped out. Sharangovich, you're going to be shipped out. We're pulling off a massive deal. We're getting this team better. All right, we're being very aggressive here. Lafreniere, Sharangovich, and a first round pick is going to be sent over to San Jose. We're going to be getting an 86 overall sniper, and we're also getting Caden Lindstrom in this deal. Who's going to be the playmaker for our second line? I couldn't tell you, but this is the deal we have to do. We got to change this team up. I think both these guys are going to be great assets for us. Lafreniere has a terrible fit anyway, so I mean, I'm okay with getting rid of him. I'll include a second round pick. Hopefully that's going to be enough. They're saying no. What else do I have to include here? I don't want to do 2 first round picks, but you know what? That's what we're going to offer over. San Jose, you guys say yes to one of these deals. I'll give you a second round pick as well. This is the max I'm willing to offer here. There we go. That's a massive deal right there. That's the only trade we're doing here. We got to pray for a miracle. So it's finally happened after years and years of disappointment. The Quebec Nordiques are back in the postseason, a 45, 32, and 5 record. This team's ready to compete. I think the big difference with this team was those guys we picked up at the trade deadline. For Heggie, 87 points here. Kempe, 74. Bulbrook, he's going to be picking up 74 as well. But when it comes down to this sniper right here, what did he do since joining the team here? Hopefully he had some great numbers. 10 goals, 8 assists for 18 points, but he was only +1. So this guy was definitely a great acquisition for us. On top of these great seasons right here, we have to highlight Jeremy Swayman's numbers. 35 wins, 5 shots on 913 and 285. As long as you can keep up these numbers in the postseason, I think we can beat anyone. But we do have a tough matchup in the first round. We got the New York Rangers, the best team in the NHL. This is going to be Quebec's first ever appearance in the postseason, and they're looking to silence some haters. Okay, Jeremy Swayman, you're the GOAT. You've allowed 4 goals in the postseason, and 3 of them came in game number 4. You had back-to-back shots, and in game number 1, you only allowed 1 goal. You allowed 3 here. No, this team's ready to compete, and we're ready to win a Stanley Cup. So after taking the Rangers down in round number 1, I'm not scared of anyone. The Quebec Nordiques just proved they're one of the best teams in the NHL. They just beat the best in the NHL, and with the way this team's playing right now, nobody's going to be able to stop us, especially if Jeremy Swayman continues to put up a 950. Yeah, so you remember how I said I wasn't scared of anyone? We proceeded to lose the first 3 games of this series. We stole game 4 away, but now we're off to game 5 elimination. So it all comes down to Jeremy Swayman. We need him to put up a big game right here. If he's not putting up a big game, we're not going to be winning. We exchange goals in the second, so the third period is going to decide this one. Jeremy Swayman continues to look amazing here. The offense has to get going. We're off to double OT here, and it looks like we're finally going to have a winner. John Marina is going to be scoring on Jeremy Swayman. Swayman, honestly, I can't really blame you for this one. Like, I'm not putting any blame on Jeremy Swayman for this one. Bro was virtually perfect the entire game. We just didn't score any goals. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if when we look at Jeremy Swayman's numbers, he has like a 220 and a 930. He was great. The offense was just non-existent there. We just weren't scoring goals in the second round, plain and simple. Jeremy Swayman, Swayman, ah yes, a 947 and a 167. This man had 3 wins, 3 shutouts, a 947 and a 167, and we still didn't win. I'm just convinced the game doesn't want me to see success. Like, I'm sorry, but you cannot convince me we're not winning a Stanley Cup when our goaltender puts up a dominant performance like that. A 947 and a 167, and we couldn't get out of the second round. We couldn't win more than 2 games in the second round. The Devils win the Stanley Cup, that's great, but no way that just happened. Jeremy Swayman, I really don't know what to do. Like, this was not your fault. The team in front of you just didn't step up. You were the best player by far. I think you should get the Conn Smythe. You might have been eliminated in the second round, but you deserve the Conn Smythe more than anyone else. So there is a lone positive here with the 121st overall. We're getting a gem, a lowly potential defenseman, but who cares? We just had Jeremy Swayman put up the greatest postseason performance of all time, only to lose in the second round. Alright, so we have a slight issue here. Bootsai, of course, I want to keep you on this team. You were great for us. I'm going to qualify you as an RFA, but you're only looking for a 1-year deal at $8 million. I can't do that. If you're going to be playing for this team, you have to sign a multi-year deal. Stolars, when it comes to you, I'm going to let you walk here, because that goaltender that we drafted in year number 1 should be able to join the team now. Alright, so we're about to pull off a massive trade here. Carver Hagee, your contract's expiring, and we're not going to be able to keep you on this team. You're looking for $13 million, and to be frank with you, at 31 years old, I don't want to give you $13 million. So you in the first round is going to be sent over to the LA Kings. We get a young Quinton Byfield. He's an 89 overall at 24 years old, so he's still really young. We're also going to get Sadikov in this deal, 79 overall. He was just drafted 2nd overall by the LA Kings. He could be a really valuable asset for this team. So I'm going to send this package over. They're saying it's a little bit low, so a 7th rounder will make the difference. Quinton Byfield, Sadikov, welcome to the team here. Okay, we're dealing with this nonsense again. The lucrative 7th round pick isn't enough, so here's 2 lucrative 7th round picks. Yeah, we're getting crazy out here. Shane Pinto, when I first acquired you, I thought you were going to play some big bottom 6 minutes for this team, but things have changed here. Again, there's going to be jumping into the lineup pretty quick here. So Pinto, you're off to the Boston Bruins. You're getting a 2nd and 4th rounder. So we might have $26 million to work with, but we can't spend it all here. Neil Pionk, I'll give you 8.3 for next season. You're going to be a good defenseman for us, but we got to make sure that we have enough money for Butsayev because he still needs an extension. But I'm trying to wait until that man becomes a bit reasonable because I'm not doing $13 million for 1 season. That's just not happening. So it got to a point that Butsayev said, you know what? I'm not accepting your deal. I'll accept your qualifying offer, and I'm playing out this season. We have to figure out whether this guy's going to be part of this team's future or not. Ideally, I do lock him down. I just didn't want to give him $11 million, especially if he's going to be a 2nd line guy for us. But you know what? Hopefully after this season and he watches us compete for a Stanley Cup, he'll be willing to change his mind. So the team's still looking elite here after the few changes we made. I would actually argue that the top 6 is actually better here. This team's just in a great spot all around. When it comes to the defense, that's certainly better. Just look at this defense. We have 1 weak point being Jeremy Lauzon, and he's an 81. Everything else, 86, 89, 86, 90, 87. This team's unstoppable. We have 2 great goaltenders here being 90 overall Jeremy Swayman. We just saw what that man did during the postseason. Anything less than a 60-win season is a disappointment here. So every season when I see our record, I just assume we're a lot better than what we were. The Quebec Nordiques, a 48-29-5 record, and that was only good enough for 7th in the entire league. I just feel like that should be better than 7th in the entire league. I feel like we should be top 5 at least. I mean, granted, we were 2 points away from top 5, so we were basically there. Bullbrook's going to be having himself a pretty solid season. I think this actually might be a career year for him. He's picking up 81 points. Matt Poitras, 77. Quinton Byfield, 75. Kempe's picking up 68 here. And then Butsayev, 31 goals, 33 assists for 64 points. And you think you're worth $13 million? Yeah, that's why I didn't sign that contract. Even $10 million would have been too much for you. Jeremy Swayman, I could care less about your regular season numbers because I know you'll step it up in the postseason. We got the Florida Panthers to take on. It's 2 great teams battling it out here. Quebec, you were able to take down one of the best in the entire league last season. I just need you to go on a bit of a run here. Also, just score goals in front of Jeremy Swayman and we'll win. Also, Butsayev, this is your final season with the team. I'm not doing a deal like this. 8 years, $18 million. Bro, what are you on? That's just not happening here. Even 2 years, he wants $11 million. I have to trade you away after this season. We're not doing this. Also, Wyatt Johnston, what are you looking for? You're playing some 3rd line minutes for us right now. 5.5 is just too much for me too. So yeah, we're going to be losing a lot of guys going into next season, but they are RFAs, so we will just trade them away. 7-2, 6-3, 6-4, 5-3. What do you have last season? A 946 and a 167 or something? Yeah, certainly didn't happen this time around. He had an 823 and a 561. He went from a 947 and a 167 to an 823 and a 561. Nothing to say. I got nothing to say whatsoever. That's year number 5 complete. The rebuild's basically done for this team. Now we're getting into the competing era. I don't really feel too comfortable with this team entering the competing era. Cap off an already terrible season. The Florida Panthers, the team that swept us in the first round, is going to take home the Stanley Cup. Ain't no way. Alright, so we might have had 5 picks in this draft, but it was just miss after miss miss after miss after miss after miss. 5 straight misses. Yeah, we didn't get anyone good here. Alright, so this is where the difficult decisions are going to be made. Butsayev, I don't think you're coming back to the team here. You're willing to sign a 7-year deal, though, at $11.5 million, but you weren't even a point-a-game player for us. How many points did you have last season? Didn't you only have like 60 or something? Yeah, you had 64 points last season. I am not giving you $11 million and you're only picking up 60 points. That's not happening. So you're going to get traded. And Wyatt Johnston, currently you're playing some third-line minutes for us, and because of that, I can't give you $5 million. So I'm going to qualify both these guys as RFAs, and then we're going to trade them away. Alright, so we got some guys that need extensions here. Hronek, you're one of them. At 30 years old, you're a 90 overall, and you're looking for $11.8 million for the next 7 seasons. I do not want to give you a 7-year deal at 30 years old. That's just not happening. So I think we're going to trade you away. Kane Lindstrom, you're a really young player, and I wouldn't mind keeping you around, especially at this price tag right here. But what if we did an 8-year deal? Yeah, we're going to do 8 years with you, probably $8.8 million for the next 8. Actually, I'll do a bit more than that. How about we just do a round number of $9 million? So $9 million for the next 8. Matt Poitras, you've been playing some big minutes for us, but this much money, I'm not really too sure if I want to be doing that. Tej Ginla, I would love to keep you around here, but this much money for a bottom 6 player, I'm just not too sure if it's worth it. Brody, I'm really hoping that you'll sign a very reasonable deal here, and yes, you will. We're going to lock you down for the next 8 years. We're probably going to do 2.4 million. 2.4 is going to be a great deal. Actually, let's do 2.3 million. Let's save a couple $100K. So I think we know who's getting traded away here. Hronek will be. Butsayev is going to be getting traded away here. Wyatt Johnson is going to be getting traded away. We're going to be rebuilding this team slightly. So is there a universe in where we can do this? Butsayev and Hronek shift over to the Anaheim Ducks. Cutter Gaucher, Mintyukov, and Hoffman. All 3 of these guys are going to be acquired. They're saying no that. I don't really care too much about getting Hoffman here, but I'd like to get him if we can. I'll include our 2nd round pick for 2029, and is that going to be enough? They're saying no. How about I take out the 2nd rounder? I take out Hoffman, I offer this over. Anaheim's saying yes. Now it's time for us to flip those assets. Alright, so I've slightly changed my mind here. Adrian Kempe, cut to the chase. You're 31 years old, and we just got a young Cutter Gaucher. I'd rather have Cutter Gaucher over you. I'm going to be completely honest. He's way younger. He's basically the same overall. His timeline makes a lot more sense with the team than you do. So I'm going to trade you along with Mintyukov over to the Devils. We get Nemec and we get Mason Appleton. Mason Appleton is just going to play some bottom 6 minutes for us. But I like this deal right here. Alright, so I think trading for Nemec was a good thing as long as we can lock him down to an 8-year deal. He's looking for $15 million. I'm going to hold out on that extension. Ideally, we lock you down for 8 years at like $12 million or something. Don't really want to give you $15 million. Matt Poitras, I'm actually willing to give you an 8-year deal, but I'm going to hold off for a little bit because I do want to give you 8 years at like $7 million or something. Alright, so because of the salary cap situation for this team, Wyatt Johnson, I'm actually willing to give you a 1-year deal. We'll do $4.5 million, and then by me not trading you away here, we're still allowed to make one more move. And what's that move going to be? Well, we have $29 million. Who's the best free agent available? Well, I think this is going to be an absolute no-brainer for us. There's one thing that this team has always struggled with, and that is scoring goals. So Svechnikov, I'll give you $15.5 million for 1 season. You come play for this team. After this season, you can walk away, but you're going to help us get a Stanley Cup. We have unlimited cap space to work with for this season. I'm not doing a multi-year deal with you, but for this 1 season, you're the guy. Alright, so this season is going to be very interesting. Cutter Gaucher, Bolbrook, and Svechnikov on the first line. Quinn Byfield, Matt Poitras, and then Kane Lindstrom. I need you to play on the right side. It's just the way it is. The bottom 6 actually looks really good here. It's just the second line I'm worried about. Quentin Byfield and Kane Lindstrom, 2 power forwards. How's that going to work for the team? Defensively, I think we're in a great spot. Nemec and Thomas Harley on the top pairing. I got no issues with that whatsoever. And when it comes to goaltending, Jeremy Swayman, you can still be the guy for us. Just don't do what you did last postseason. We're not going to talk about it. If I'm being honest, I don't care what we do during the regular season here. As long as we make it into the playoffs and then don't perform like we did last season, I'm going to be okay with this team. Now, if I were to describe this team in one word, I have the perfect word: inconsistency. This team makes absolutely no sense to me whatsoever. 13th in the entire league, a 45, 35, and 2 record. Now that record might not seem too good, but you have to understand, we were 10 and 15 to start the season, but then we proceeded to go on a 9-game winning streak, lost 2 after that, and then win 7 straight. You know how we finished out the season? Losing 10 of our last 15. How does that make any sense? So if this team was just somewhat consistent the entire year, we would easily be the best team in the entire league. Svechnikov, you were a great pickup, and honestly, if we can keep you around, I might try to do so. You had 40 goals, the most goals we've ever seen somebody on this team score, so yeah, you're pretty important. Quentin Byfield, you were great this season. Cutter Gaucher, you were fantastic as well. Kane Lindstrom, only 55 points here, but then again, look at the scoring depth. Everyone on this team can score, and that's why we're seeing that much success. When it comes to goaltending, Jeremy Swayman, 38 wins here, 3 shots, a 906 and a 299. I'm a bit concerned about these numbers, but I also know you can step it up in the postseason, but I also know you can completely fall apart in the postseason, but that's not going to happen against the Toronto Maple Leafs. I refuse to lose to Toronto in the first round. especially if Jeremy Swayman's our goaltender. That's not happening. So we've split the series with the Toronto Maple Leafs, so that means Game 5 is going to be a massive one. Somebody's going to be one game away from making it to the second round, and I'm happy to say it's going to be the Quebec Nordiques. Can we close out in game number 6 here? Of course we can't. We have to go to Game 7. Now, we've been very consistent against the Toronto Maple Leafs so far. We win a game, we lose a game. We win a game, we lose a game. We're picking up 3 goals in the first period. Toronto's picking up 2, but then Toronto's picking up back-to-back goals here, so we're facing elimination heading into the third period. We got to wake up Svechnikov. He's going to pick up a big-time goal, but I need you to pick up one in overtime here. Can you be the hero for us? Of course you can. Barabanov's picking up the OT winner. This is supposed to be the era where we solidify ourselves as one of the best teams in the entire league, and we can't even get out of the first round. Like, honestly, this is just getting ridiculous. Now, the Quebec Nordiques should be way better than this. Svechnikov, you got great numbers. TJ Ginla, is it possible for you to play some top 6 minutes for us? You could play on the second line. That actually might be the move. I have no clue what we're going to do here. Matt Poitras, can you play first line minutes? Yes, you can. So Matt Poitras, maybe you should play on the first line, but we already have a playmaker there, so that actually doesn't make sense. Jeremy Swayman, your numbers, a 915 to 268, so your numbers weren't even that bad here. It's the offense letting us down once again. This team just can't score goals when it matters. I don't really know why that's the case. Svechnikov, how much money are you looking for? So this man's looking for an extension, but how much money does he actually want here? Yeah, you're returning to this team. We absolutely finessed the system here by giving him that 1-year deal. So here's 9.3 for the next 6 seasons. You're one of the most valuable pieces to this team. I have to keep you around. And then when it comes to Nemec, this is going to be a bit pricey for me, but you know what? We have to keep the important players around. $11 million for the next 6. Matt Poitras, I don't think we're going to be able to afford you. TJ Ginla, I don't think we're going to be able to afford you as well. What are you looking for? 3.3 million. We actually could probably make that work. So how about we just do 3 million for the next 2 years? I think that's pretty fair for you. And then Matt Poitras, what are you looking for? $7 million. I can't do that. Also, hold on. Wait a minute. Reese Peros selected 121st overall. I don't know if you were a gem or something. You might have been, but you're up to an 81 overall, and I haven't even given you your entry level deal yet. So yeah, I think you'll turn out to be a good player for us. I'm sorry, but ain't no way we're seeing an Arizona Coyotes Toronto Maple Leafs Stanley Cup final with the Arizona Coyotes sweeping the Toronto Maple Leafs before we even make it to the conference finals. That's the last straw. This team's completely changing. So we were able to get a couple medium top 6 potential forwards, but we're finally getting a steal here in the draft. With the 153rd overall pick, we're going to be getting a mediumly potential goaltender. He might only be a 56 overall, but he's definitely got some potential. Alright, so Poitras, I've decided that I'm going to keep you around here, but we're going to do 6.7 million for the next 4 years. You're going to be our second line centerman. I think this is a deal that we have to do. Wyatt Johnston, I'm qualifying you as an RFA, but you are getting traded away. And then Trent Frederick, Mason Appleton, Joseph, all you guys are going to be walking. Peros, I'm going to be sign you, and I think you actually will be jumping into the lineup here. Your entry level contract, and you're already an 81 overall. That's a steal for us. Knizhov, you're going to be walking, but it's time we make some big time moves. So Quinton Byfield, right now your trade value is through the roof, and I want to capitalize on that. On top of that, Brandon Montour, it's been a very quick decline for you. You've dropped to an 85 overall at 35 years old. Things aren't going to get easier for us. I'm also going to add a 2nd and 7th rounder into this deal, and Lafreniere, you're going to be rejoined this team. You used to play for the Quebec Nordiques not that long ago, but you know what? Now it's time to bring you back. We're also going to be picking up 2 elite prospects in this deal, and then we're going to flip them for a right defenseman. They're going to say no to this deal, but we're pretty close, so hopefully 2 7th round picks can make the difference. You know we're getting crazy when we're offering 2 7th round picks, but you know what? This is the deal that has to get done. We're bringing in the playmaker that we need for the second line. This is the right move. So the reason that we picked up a new playmaker is Matt Poitras is actually not going to be playing on the second line anymore. Because Ridley Gregg's going to be moving up here, 7.7 for the next 8 years. And then when it comes to Matt Poitras, he's about to get traded away. So as we know, we got to bring in a new right defenseman for this team. And who's that right defenseman going to be? Well, it's going to be Brock Faber, under contract for the next 2 years at an 88 overall. He could be a great defenseman for us. Reeves and Matt Poitras are going to be sent over. We're also getting a 1st and 2nd rounder. They're going to say no to that. How about I take out the 2nd rounder? I want to get that 1st rounder though. They're going to say no to that. Just give me some draft picks then. So how about I get that 2nd, 3rd, and 4th round pick for 2031 and we call this a fair deal? They're going to say no to that. I'll take the 4th rounder out. You got to at least give me the 2nd rounder in this deal. This is more than fair. Okay, we're getting finessed here. Like, you got to give me at least some type of draft compensation here. You have to give me a 3rd round pick. If you're not giving me a 3rd, we're getting finessed out here. This is ridiculous. This is beyond ridiculous. I have to give you draft capital. Me. No, this ain't right. So here you go, Minnesota. Here's a 2nd round pick. Just give me Brock Faber. Ridiculous. Alright, so this is the final move here. Wyatt Johnston over to the Red Wings. We're going to get a sniper for the bottom 6. He might only be a 79 overall, but as long as he has a decent enough line fit here, we're going to be alright. The team's looking great here. I think we made some smart additions to the team. All we have to do is show up when it matters, and I'm talking the playoffs. Don't suck. Before we do anything though, Peltonen, I got to make sure I lock you down for 8 years, so here's 2.6 for the next 8. Whether or not you turn to a top 6 player for us or not, that's going to be a great contract. Alright, if I'm being honest, this team has to win a Stanley Cup. Cutter Gaucher, Svechnikov, Lafreniere in the 1st line. Bulbrook, Ridley, Gregg, Kane Lindstrom on the second. The bottom six looks great here. The defense is improved with the addition of Brock Faber. No weaknesses here whatsoever. And when it comes to goaltending, Jeremy Swayman. Win games. Our coach went from an A- to an A overall. That's the one main change we're going to see here. This top six right here should be able to score more than enough goals. There's zero weaknesses here whatsoever. We got to see some big changes when it comes to success. Now this right here is enough to bring a tear to my eye. The Quebec Nordiques have figured it out. First in the entire league, a 55-21-6 record. The team is finally doing it. Not only are we scoring goals here, but we're actually winning games for once. Svechnikov, Bulbrook, Cutter Gaucher, Lafreniere, everyone's been fantastic here. The goaltending has been mid. I don't know what to say anymore. I really don't. Ain't no way this team finished first in the entire league and the goaltending was mid. Jeremy Swayman had a below 900 save percentage and his goals against was above 3. I got nothing to say anymore. I really don't. We're taking on the Rangers in the first round. Just don't lose here. So in the postseason, we got ourselves 946 Jeremy Swayman. He starts off game 1 with a shutout. Into game 2, he picks up another shutout. Can we pick up 3 shutouts in the first round here? It's not going to be 3 shutouts, but we are going to be advancing in 5 games. Jeremy Swayman, just stay locked in here. It's revenge time. We have the Toronto Maple Leafs in the second round here. They beat us in the first round last season, but you know what? That doesn't matter anymore. The Quebec Nordiques are different. We're first in the entire league. Jeremy Swayman is playing with a 950 right now. Do not mess with us. We are locked in. Don't screw this up. We're folding. We're folding right now. We're down 3-1 after Jeremy Swayman picked up a shutout in game number 1 here. We're off to game 5 elimination. Why does this keep happening? Like, honestly, I don't even know what to say about the Quebec Nordiques anymore. We were allowing 4 goals in the first period. This game's already over. We lost 5-2. How did that happen? But you know what? I'm very curious to look at Jeremy Swayman's numbers because that man got absolutely lit up in the second round. So I'm assuming his numbers must look awful. We just didn't score. None of the players on this team scored. Thomas Harley led us in points here. That should never happen. Goaltending numbers for Jeremy Swayman, a 918 to 271 after getting lit up in the second round. This man probably had a 950 after the first round. But I think the most ridiculous thing about this postseason run, 60% of the games we won came in a shutout. And unless this man is single-handedly winning games for us, we're just not winning. Like, I understand you need a great goaltender in order to win games. We won 2-1 here, 1-0 here, 2-0 here. So in this 2-0 game against the Rangers and this 2-0 game against the Toronto Maple Leafs, let's just assume that one of the goals they scored in these 2 games was an empty netter. So in this 3-game span where they picked up shutouts, they scored 5 goals, one of them was an empty netter. So in reality, they scored 4 goals in these 3 games right here. So unless Jeremy Swayman plays like God, we just don't win. So to cap off this season, we're going to see the Vancouver Canucks winning a Stanley Cup here. At this point, I'm convinced every single Canadian team is going to win before the Quebec Nordiques do. So we might not be getting a superstar here in the draft, but I'll definitely take a 70 overall with the 29th overall pick. He's got medium top 6 potential. Eventually, he could be a bottom 6 guy for us. So it looks like the good prospects aren't done there because with the 129th overall pick, we're going to be getting ourselves a mediumly potential goaltender. So that's 2 great prospects in the draft so far. Hopefully, we can grab another one, but I highly doubt it. So we have to give out some extensions here. We're going to start with Jeremy Swayman. He's only looking for a 1-year contract, so I'm perfectly fine with that. 6.4 for next season. That's a bit less than what he's getting paid right now. He's been really good for us, but the team in front of him just hasn't been good, and I think we're going to need a bit of a change there. Thomas Harley, of course, I'm going to bring you back here. No doubt about it. You're the best left defenseman we have here, and you're an absolute superstar. So here's $10.3 million for the next 6 seasons. I feel like that's a great contract for you. Actually, I want to lock you down for the next 8. I want to keep you around for the rest of the rebuild here. So how about we do $11.3 million for the next 8? That's not going to leave us with too much money here. So Brock Faber, you might not be coming back. Psych, we're going to keep you around here. So how does 5 years at 5 years at $6.9 million sound? I think that's a great deal for you. When it comes to TJ Ginlin, this young player right here, we're probably not going to be bringing either of them back next season. They're going to be looking for too much money, but they are going to have some decent enough value, so we'll be able to trade them away and bring in some other guys. So the only spot in our lineup that we have to fix right now is going to be our right side defense because we do need to sign one player here. And who's that player going to be? Well, we'll do Jamie Drysdale, 8.5 for 1 season. Why not bring him to the team? Now, although this team couldn't score goals in the postseason, I don't care. We're running it back here. We have an 87, an 84, and an 85. Now, normally that would be a pretty weak first line, but this is our third line. Our third line would be considered a weak first line. Yeah, I think it's safe to say we're really good here. Look at the right side. Drysdale, Faber, Nemec. Yeah, that's pretty good. Goaltending, Jeremy Swayman, you were great in the postseason. You were kind of mid during the regular season, but we're not going to talk about that. I don't really know what's wrong with this team, but we're going to be finding success pretty quick here. Now, although we had the most wins in the entire league, we're actually going to finish second here because the Carolina Hurricanes had so many losses in overtime. We're finishing with a 54-24-4 record. The offense is looking great here, almost 4 goals per game, and the defense, 2.93. That has to be better than last season. Like last season, Jeremy Swayman, his goals against was above 3, so I'm only assuming that's a lot better this time around. Svechnikov, 45 goals, 48 assists for 93 points. What a pickup he's been. Lafreniere's looking great. Bullbrook, he's been a great playmaker as well for us. Also, look at the scoring. 30 goal scorer, 30 goal scorer, 35 goal scorer. So the goal scoring is here this season. The goaltending is looking great from Jeremy Swayman. Just perform in the playoffs. This team's scoring a lot of goals right now. We're even better defensively. Zero weaknesses. We have zero weaknesses. I cannot stress that enough here. We got the Buffalo Sabres in the first round, a potential rematch against the Toronto Maple Leafs in the second. We need to beat Toronto. So let the boys cook right now. The Quebec Nordiques, a 3-1 series lead, looking to close out in game number 5 here, and that's exactly what we're doing. We're heading straight to the second round. I don't even want to look at the playoff bracket because I know we're going to take this team on right now. The Toronto Maple Leafs, we're 4-1 in the postseason so far, and we're winning games right now. We have a 3-1 series lead against the Toronto Maple Leafs. Let's close it out in game number 5 here. Okay, do not lose game 6. Whatever you do not lose game 6 here. Got nothing to say. I have nothing to say whatsoever. Bullbrook, you've been the best player for us. 13 points in 11 games. But we're ahead to game 7. We just had a 3-1 series lead. Game 7. Why is this happening? We're playing the Toronto Maple Leafs. They scored the first goal here. What's going to happen in the second? Cutter Gaucher's picking up a big goal. Here we go. The third period is going to decide this game. Jamie Drysdale, you are a hero. The Quebec Nordiques are retiring your jersey. When push came to shove, Jamie Drysdale is going to be the hero here. And we're off to our first ever conference finals appearance. So it's our first ever appearance in the conference finals. We have the Detroit Red Wings to take on. I believe the Red Wings were a wild card team, but I don't care if they're a wild card team or not. They've made to the conference finals. They're legit. We better be prepared for a tough matchup. So here we go. If we can close out in game number 5 here, we're off to the Stanley Cup final. We're not doing this again. We're not blowing a 3-1 series lead. We've made it. The Stanley Cup final. We're taking on the Minnesota Wild. This is a big series. Quebec can finally win a Stanley Cup here, and we got ourselves a 3-1 series lead. We're scoring goals like crazy here, and the offense isn't going to slow up. We finally did. The Quebec Nordiques Stanley Cup champions. This took way too long. Like in reality, we should have won a Stanley Cup like 3-4 years ago, but you know what? It finally happened. Bullbrook, you were amazing. 31 points here. Ridley Gregg, what a great pickup you were. 28 points here. Caden Lindstrom, T.J. Ginla. Throughout the entire lineup, we're seeing goal scoring. I'm not going to lie though, the first line kind of let me down. Cutter Gaucher only 15 points. Lafreniere only 15, but it doesn't matter. When push came to shove, the big time players showed up. Svechnikov, you sucked. 13 points in 23 games on 92 overall. You had 6 goals, my guy. You're supposed to be the big goal scorer on this team, and you scored 6 goals, and we still found a way to win. But why did we win? Jeremy Swayman, that's why. 16 wins, 2 shots, a 910, a 253. Without this man, it's not happening. So after winning 1 Stanley Cup, a majority of the team's going to be returning here. It's time for us to go back to back. All right, so this is the perfect draft for us. With the 33rd overall pick, we're going to be getting a 62 overall medium elite potential goaltender. If he's starting at 62 overall, it's guaranteed he's going to turn into a superstar goaltender. He's going to progress pretty quick. And Jeremy Swayman, we're probably going to re-sign you on another 1-year contract. So you're going to be with the team for the next 2 years here. And then once your contract's up, Archer's going to be taken over. He's the goaltender for the future. I'm going to be giving him a long-term extension as soon as I can. He's the guy for us. Alright, so the re-sign phase is going to be a difficult one. Jamie Drysdale, of course, you have to leave the team here. We all knew that was going to happen. But these 2 players right here, one of them being a Ginla, is going to be qualified as an RFA, and we're going to have to trade them away. I can't give each of them $5 million. I just can't. So it's going to be a tough offseason for the team. We're going to be losing a handful of pieces, but you know what? We'll be able to replace them. So we got some extensions we have to give out here, and the first one's going to be going to Lafreniere. We're going to do 9.5 for the next 4 years. He's playing some first-line minutes. I didn't expect him to be playing big minutes like that, but you know what? He's turned out to be a great player for us, so I'm happy to keep him around. Another guy that we have to keep around here, no debate about it, it's going to be Cutter Gaucher, and this is going to be an absolute steal here. Let's do $7.5 million for the next 8 years, so that's another fantastic contract. Another guy we're going to keep around here is going to be Peros, and that's going to be $7.6 million for the next 8, because Keandre Miller, we're going to be letting you walk here, or I might even trade you away. I actually haven't decided yet. Alright, so we know we can't bring back T.J. Ginla and Keandre Miller. I'd rather just trade you away while you have a bit of value, so I'm going to send both of you guys over to the Nashville Predators. We're going to bring in Spooner. He just signed his entry-level contract, 80 overall for the next 3 years. This is going to work out for the team well. He's going to make the salary cap situation really easy for us. I'll include a 2nd round pick. I don't really want to do too much more than this. If I have to include a 1st round pick, I will, but I don't really want to. Let's try 2 2nd rounders, and hopefully that's going to be enough to get this deal done. I guess we're going to have to use a 1st here. So we use a 1st rounder for 2033, and that should be enough. I mean, we could trade one of our medium-elite potential goaltenders away, and I think we will do that. So I'll throw Crooks into this deal right here, and then that should be enough for Spooner. They're saying that's a little bit low. So yeah, what if we do 2 2nd rounders instead of that 1st? Because I think 2 second rounders actually is a bit more value than our first rounder. Never mind, we're gonna have to use our first. So it's gonna be a Ginla, Miller, Crooks, a 5th and a first round pick in order to get Spooner here, but Spooner's got medium elite potential. He's gonna turn out to be a great player, and I'm happy to have him on the team. All right, so this is gonna be the final trade we do. It's gonna be a 2nd and 3rd rounder over to the Washington Capitals. We bring in Ryder Ritchie for the next 2 years at $2.3 million. We still have $12.1 million to work with, so that RFA that we do have, we can just re-sign on a 1-year contract. So this is what we're going to do. It's going to be 4.75 for 1 season. And then this RFA is going to be rejoined the team, and then we just have to make 1 free agent signing. All right, so things have changed. We're actually making another trade here instead of doing a free agent signing, because if we can somehow get this defenseman from the Carolina Hurricanes, it's going to be massive for us. Because wait until you see the contract we signed this guy to. Because Endland, what's a contract with you going to look like? Well, it's going to be 2.8 for the next 4 years, and that's a great contract, especially for an 81 overall. Like, if you go into free agency and try to get yourself an 81 overall, you're looking at $7 million. All right, so we're getting ready for next season, but I do realize that we made one massive mistake here, and you're going to see that mistake in a couple seconds. Yeah, so we're coming off a Stanley Cup, and the team's still looking amazing here. We have a 90 overall in the 3rd line. I'm really contemplating trying to find a way to keep this guy on the team. If he has a great fit on the 2nd line, then we will do that. Okay, that's a pretty good fit there, so maybe we actually do keep this guy around. If we're going to be keeping him around, though, he's moving up to the 2nd line, and then Bulbrook will probably trade you away. But you know what? You were pretty good, so yeah, maybe we just get rid of Ridley Gregg here. So I'm going to think about a move like that. I mean, by rights, we should keep this guy. He's a 90 overall at 22 years old. Let's go give him an extension right now. But you know what? Let's just go through the team real quick. The defense looking amazing, but here's the one issue. I didn't really sign a backup goaltender. So yeah, we have a 62 overall. So we might struggle a little bit. Now I remember why he wasn't coming back to the team. 8 years, $17 million. We have $5 million to work with. So even if we get rid of Ridley Gregg, we still don't have enough money. So yeah, we'll just ride your contract out. So the Quebec Nordiques dominance is continuing here. A 54, 22, and 6 record. The team's looking amazing. We're coming off a Stanley Cup, and we're looking to repeat here. And as long as things continue to look this good, I think we'll be able to. Seshnikov, 104 points here. Lafreniere's picking up 98. Bulbrook, he's picking up 87. I think this is the best scoring season that we've ever had here. I'm just hoping the goaltending still looks great here. You know what, Wingles? You actually were really good this season. This makes no sense, a 19-5 record. Wingles, you are him. You were a 63 overall and had a 19-5 record. I don't care if your save percentage of goals against wasn't good. You had a 19-5 record as a 63 overall, and you got 1 shutout. You did the impossible. Oh yeah, Jeremy Swayman, you were pretty good as well. We got the Detroit Red Wings in the 1st round. It's time to repeat. And it looks like Quebec's not messing around. They know what's on the line here. They know they have to repeat, and we're going to take the Red Wings down in a quick 5-game series. So we've moved on to the 2nd round, but I have some bad news. We're not going to beat the Toronto Maple Leafs because they're back to their old ways of losing in the 1st round. We got the Montreal Canadiens instead. Now, similar to the last series, once again, we're going to be giving ourselves a 3-1 series lead, and we're looking to close out in game number 5, make that game number 6 here. Okay, we're going to blow a 3-1 series lead. But you know what? This is very reminiscent of last season, blowing a 3-1 series lead in the 2nd round, but we were actually able to win it, and it looks like we're going to be winning this one, so that means we're going to be taking home a Stanley Cup. A big 5-0 win here. Jeremy Swayman was locked in. Okay, this is almost identical to last season. We're taking on a wildcard team in the conference finals, almost blowing a 3-1 lead in the 2nd round. We're repeating here. Everything is identical to last season except for the teams we have to take on. I mean, granted, we could take on the Minnesota Wild in the Stanley Cup final. So the Islanders are a bunch of frauds. We're taking down a sweep, and we're moving on to the Stanley Cup final. Who are we taking on here? Colorado was up 3-1 against the Minnesota Wild, and Minnesota fought back. So Minnesota's locked in right now. They just completed a 3-1 series comeback to make it to the Stanley Cup final, and they are not messing around. They won the first 2 games, but we're responding after that. Can we make it 3 straight wins? Yes, we can. My controller just died. Ain't no way. Alright, so it's switch controllers here and then simulate game number 6. I can't believe it died in the middle of the simulation. We need game 7. At least it didn't die in game 7 though. So here we go, game 7 for the Stanley Cup. Quebec's looking at repeating here. Eriksson X picking up the first goal of the game. Ryan Reeves is going to be... Okay, never mind, it's not Ryan Reeves. I thought Ryan Reeves was still playing in the year like 2032. No, it's not going to be him. Seshnikov's picking up 2 big goals here. Here we go, the 3rd period. Who's going to be winning the Stanley Cup here? The Minnesota Wild. And Matt Poitras scored the winner. Alright then, that happened. What makes it even worse is the team was incredible. Lafreniere 31 points, Seshnikov 23, Cutter Gaucher 19. The team was actually scoring. Like, Seshnikov was actually good in the postseason this time, and we still weren't able to win. The goaltending numbers from Jeremy Swayman, I'm so sorry we didn't win with you. A 926 and a 218, and we don't win the Stanley Cup? Yeah, that ain't right. That is just not right. So Sadikov, we know you're not going to be returning to the team. You're looking for like $17 million, and we can't do that. Ottawa just drafted goalie though. He's a right winger, power forward, 82 overall. He's already got 5 X factors, and on top of all of this, he was a gem. So I'd love to trade for this man right here. We're going to be giving up 2 players in this deal, but if we can get this done, I would love to. So what if I include our first round pick instead of that extra forward? Hopefully that's going to be enough for goalie here. They're going to be saying no, but we're just a bit low, so a 6th round pick will make the difference here. And just like that, goalie, welcome to the team. So although we didn't draft goalie, that doesn't mean we're not going to be drafting any great prospects ourselves, because we are going to get this lowly potential player right here who's also a gem. Alright, so Jeremy Swayman, we're going to bring you back for one more season here. We're going to do $7.6 million for the next season. I feel like that's a pretty good contract for you. You're 33 years old. You're starting to age out a little bit here. I felt that I could impact the NHL roster more if I was given a chance to play. You've been the starter for the past decade. What are you on about? Alright, so Jeremy Swayman, you're not coming back to the team. Alright, so before we make any big trades here, we got to make sure Ryder Ritchie comes back because he's a good enough third line guy. So here's $2.6 million. So this is going to be the second move we're doing here. Weeks is going to be joined from the San Jose Sharks. He's a good goaltender that we can lock down for like 3 years. He has medium league potential still at 23 years old, so he's going to keep on getting better. This is actually just a really good move for us all around. We get the goaltender that we need, and we're going to get him at a cheap price. Now on paper this looks like a bad trade, and that's because it is. We're trading a medium league potential player over to the Seattle Kraken. We're getting McCann here, 83 overall, medium top 6 potential, but he's got 4 X factors. He can play some big minutes for us. We're bringing in a backup goaltender, and then we're going to bring in another 4th line guy for us. Basically the only reason we're bringing in this guy right here is because we need somebody to play on the 4th line. I want you to retain half his salary though. I need to free up that extra $1 million because we have to make sure that we have enough money to sign our goaltender. So I'm going to offer this package over. Obviously Seattle's going to be saying yes to it. We have about $7 million to work with. Now we can sign our goaltender. Because when it comes to Weeks' deal here, it's not going to be too expensive for us. It's going to be 3.5 for the next 4 years. So we made to back-to-back Stanley Cups here, and I think the team might be looking even better. Lafreniere's got himself a superstar X factor, +5, +3, +1. Goalie's looking incredible. McCann's looking incredible. But look at this defense. Peros is up to an 86 overall. What a great acquisition that was. Actually, I think we drafted this guy. Yeah, we drafted him 121st overall. He's just been a great player for us, a great defenseman. He's going to be taking over for Thomas Harley pretty soon here because he's 31 years old. When it comes to goaltending, Weeks, you're up to an 85 overall. We have you under contract for the next 4 years at $3.5 million, and that's going to be an absolute steal. The only concern I have is the fact that we have a 75 overall backup. But then again, last season we had a 60 overall, and look at the result we had, so I'm expecting a similar result here. Now, although we finished second in the entire league, I think this is the best season that the Quebec Nordiques have ever had, because to start the season, we were 9-9-6. We began the season having a record of 9-9-6 outside of the postseason, and here we are finishing the season with a 50-22-10 record. So yeah, basically after the first 20-some games, we've been the best team in the NHL, and no one's been able to compete with us. Svechnikov, you've been great here, but unfortunately this is probably your last season. You're 33 years old, and I gotta trade you away next season when your value's still pretty high. Bolbrook, you were great, 91 points. Caden Lindstrom, 86. Cutter Gaucher, 81 here. Lafreniere, you're picking up 76 points here. You only have a couple more seasons left with the team, but you know what? We're gonna hold on to you. When it comes to Weeks, his first season with the team, not the greatest here. 38 wins, 0 shots, an 895 and a 313. Not what I'm looking for, that's for sure. But you are up to an 86 overall, and I'm really not paying you that much money, so I'm actually okay with this. I mean, I'll be okay with it if you can win us the Stanley Cup. We got the Tampa Bay Lightning in the first round. If you're folding, then we have issues. Alright, I'm not even going to jump to this elimination game right here. We got shut out in game number 1. We got shut out in game number 2. What happened in game number 3? We allowed 9 goals. Okay, we're slowly making a comeback here. If we make it to game 7, I'll jump into that one. Alright, we were down 3-0 in the series, and now we're in game 7. Now, I was fully convinced that this team was going to be losing, but you know what? We sparked a massive comeback here, and we're looking to capitalize. Are we going to be able to win game 7 here, completing the 3-0 series comeback? Maybe not. We need overtime to settle this one. We can't lose an OT here. Peros is going to pick up the OT winner. We just came back from a 3-0 deficit. Yeah, we're winning the Stanley Cup here. No more messing around. Quebec's hot right now. They've won 4 straight games, and they're not looking to slow down anytime soon. So the Quebec Nordiques are completing one of the greatest comebacks of all time, and now they're off to the second round. They got the Buffalo Sabres up next, because of course Buffalo's beating Toronto. It's good to see Toronto's back to their old ways. So we've split the series with the Buffalo Sabres so far, so whoever wins game 5 is going to be 1 game away from making it to the conference finals, and unfortunately that's not going to be Quebec. We're off to game 6 elimination. But you know what? So far we've been perfect in elimination games, and we're looking to continue that trend. So here we go, game 6 elimination for the Quebec Nordiques. Tage Thompson's picking up the first goal, and Zach Benson's going to pick up the second. We have to have ourselves a massive third period. We are going to be picking up back-to-back goals, and they're both going to be from Svechnikov, but unfortunately we're going to be allowing a goal late in the third period, and that's going to be eliminating us. So after making it to back-to-back Stanley Cup finals, we're going to be eliminated here. But you know what? The one thing that we've learned over the past 5 years, this team solidified themselves as the top team in the league. Now we just have to complete the dynasty. So we've completed the first 10 years of the rebuild, and it's going to be capped off with the Edmonton Oilers winning the Stanley Cup here. Svechnikov, I think you played your final games for us. We're going to trade you away here because you got prepared for the final 5 years. You're 33 years old. You're going to be aging out pretty quick. You still had a great postseason run, but you know what? I think you're going to have a lot of trade value. I want to capitalize on that, and I just want to make sure this team's prepared for the final 5 years, especially if we're going to be trying to complete this dynasty. So remember how I said I was about to trade Svechnikov? Well, that's happening right now. We're going to trade him over to the Philadelphia Flyers for the first overall pick. I'm praying that this is going to be enough. They're going to say no. What else should I include in this deal? Ridley Gregg. I want to get rid of that contract, so he's going to be traded away as well. We'll free up $7.7 million here. This is the right deal to make. I'm going to send this over. They're still saying no. Philly, I need you to accept this deal. What else do you want? Here's a second round pick. I'll give you the 61st overall. I just need you to give me that first overall pick. Okay. Now you might be wondering, why did I rush to make a trade like that? Well, I saw a franchise potential player available, and I want to bring him to this team right now. So there we go. We got our first ever franchise potential player, 82 overall to begin his career. The only thing I don't like is he's a playmaker, but you know what? That just means we'll make some more moves. Alright, so we got to give out some extensions here. We're going to start with Bulbrook. Okay, we're not doing this. I'm sorry, I'm not giving you $15 million. Like, the lowest amount you'd probably be willing to accept is $13 million, and even that's absurd for a second line guy, so you're going to have to be traded away here. Spooner, what are you going to be looking for here? $8.2 million. I can't do that, especially for a third-pairing defenseman. McCann, please say you're going to be reasonable here. 3.6 isn't absurd, and I think we actually could be able to do a deal like this. Do I want to give you a long-term deal and move you into the top 6, though? I'm not too sure about that. I mean, you got a pretty good fit on the second line, and you're a playmaker, so actually I'm going to give you a long-term deal. So McCann, we're going to do a 4-year deal at $3.4 million. You're going to move into the top 6 here. Meanwhile, Bulbrook, you've been a great player for us, but your time has passed. Alright, so this is going to be one of the trades that we pull off here. Lafreniere over to the Boston Bruins. We get Ryan Rubrock here. He can play some first-line minutes for us. He's going to be a good sniper. We're also going to get Fodder in this deal. You can play some bottom 6 minutes for us. He's going to be a good third-line guy. But yeah, Lafreniere, we're going to have to trade you away here. We got a couple other playmakers that are making the jump into the lineup. So we've made 2 of our 3 moves, and you know what? We have a bit of spare cap space, so we can sign 1 forward. And who's the 1 forward that happens to be available? Well, Austin Matthews is available. So yeah, here's $16 million for 1 year. We got $24 million to work with. Let's get this deal done. $15.8 million. Austin Matthews, welcome to the Quebec Nordiques. Alright, so with the addition of Austin Matthews, I really don't think this team can be stopped. But look at the forward core here. You might notice we have an 82 overall, but this is a franchise potential player. By the end of the season, he'll be up to an 88. The defense is still looking amazing here. Meanwhile, Weeks, he's up to an 88 overall. He's an elite potential goaltender. This man's going to have a big season here. Even Wingle's up to a 77. A couple years ago when he was a 63, he was able to pick up a couple wins. I can't wait to see what he's going to do next season. Yeah, just ignore what he did in the AHL. He's back in the NHL, and he's ready to put up some amazing numbers. So we've entered the era where this team's about to begin their dynasty, and what do they do in season number 1 here? Immediately completely fall off. 13th in the league, a 46-33-3 record. Yeah, this team's washed. We had to make some difficult decisions, and clearly they're not helping the team here. Austin Matthews, only 45 goals. I mean, you were a great goal scorer for us. Winkler, I was expecting a bit more, not gonna lie. You're only an 85 overall. Like, bro, you have franchise potential. You got to live up to that potential. When it comes to the rest of the team here, the scoring just wasn't good enough. This team was just a massive disappointment here. The goaltending was a disappointment. Nothing about this team was great, but you know what? We can step up in the postseason. We have some great players on this team. We're taking on the New Jersey Devils in the first round. We just got to make sure that we're locked in. So although we weren't great during the regular season, I do want to point out we have all the pieces that we need here. We're an incredible team. We just have to show up when it matters most. We immediately allow 7 goals. Yeah, it backfired real quick. So here we go. We got game 6 elimination. The Quebec Nordiques taking on the New Jersey Devils. Things are looking pretty solid for us so far. We have the lead entering the 3rd period here, and I don't think we're going to be collapsing here. We're going to be picking up a bunch more goals here, and we're taking this one 6-4, and we're off to game 7. So we got game 7, and the first thing we did was allow the first 4 goals of the game, so I think it's safe to say this one's over. Never mind, maybe not, we're winning this one 6-5, ain't no way. So yeah, that was quite the comeback. So that was a massive upset there. We just took down one of the best teams in the NHL, but are we really surprised? Like, look at the Quebec Nordiques roster. We're clearly an amazing team. I don't really know what went wrong during the regular season. So in round number 1, we made a 3-2 series comeback. Now we just need to make a 3-1 series comeback. So here we go. We got game 5 in front of us here. We just got to take it one game at a time. We're picking up the first goal of the game. We're going to pick up another 2 in the second, and we're going to be locking this one down 5-1. So we took game number 5. Now we just need to take game number 6 here. As long as we continue to score goals, we're going to be all right. The Rangers is going to be picking up 3 goals in the first period. We're only picking up 2 here. We're going to tie it up in the second period. The third period is going to decide this game. Who's showing up when it matters most? Well, both teams are. We're exchanging goals, and we're going to need overtime to settle this one. And in overtime, our franchise potential star is going to step up here, and he's sending us to game 7. So here we go. Game 7 for the conference finals. Who's going to be showing up here? It looks like it's going to be our team. It was our team up until the second period, and the Rangers are going to respond. They're picking up 2 goals for themselves. The third period is going to decide who goes to the conference finals here, and who's it going to be? Well, it's going to be the Quebec Nordiques, and we're off to the conference finals. 2 big time goals here. This team's looking elite right now. We've proved that we're one of the best. So we've made a 3-2 series comeback and a 3-1 series comeback. I don't want to make a 3-0 series comeback here. Let's sweep Montreal here and then sweep whoever makes it to the Stanley Cup final. So it turns out the Quebec Nordiques are actually going to listen to me. They're sweeping the Montreal Canadiens, and here we are in the Stanley Cup final taking on the LA Kings. If we sweep LA, I'll go ahead and buy a Quebec Nordiques jersey. Ain't no way that just happened. Okay, we lost in game number 4. We lost in game 4. We were 1 game away from me buying a Quebec Nordiques jersey. We're just going to close out. Okay, do not blow a 3-0 series lead. Whatever you do, do not blow a 3-0 series lead. What is going on here? We made a 3-2 series comeback, and we made a 3-1 series comeback. We are not losing in game 7 of the Stanley Cup final, blowing a 3-0 series lead. We got to close out here, and that's exactly what we're doing. The Quebec Nordiques Stanley Cup champions. This team might have not shown up during the regular season, but they showed up when it mattered. They won in the postseason, and now we're Stanley Cup champs. No, but in all seriousness, what just happened here? How did Quebec win a Stanley Cup? We were 13th in the entire league. But then again, if you look at this team on paper, we are a really good team. There's no question about it. Amazing depth scoring here. And when it comes to goaltending, Weeks, you were incredible. 16 wins, a 927. How did we win 17 games during the playoffs? Don't worry about it. But yeah, we won 17 games during the playoffs, a 927 and a 240. You were that guy. No, but seriously, how did we win 17 games in the playoffs? How does that work? All right, so we actually had all 7 picks in the draft here, but even though we had 7 picks, that doesn't mean we're getting any superstar players, a couple top 6 potential forwards, 1 or 2 top 4 potential defensemen, but outside that, no superstars. All right, so we got ourselves $27 million to work with here. We don't have any goaltenders that we have to sign here. Bullbrook, I actually think I'm going to do a sign and trade with you. So I'll give you $12 million for the next 6 seasons, but then we're going to trade you away here. We'll send you to some other team. I don't really think that we need your services here anymore. When it comes to Spooner, how much is he looking for here? Okay, we actually might be able to do this. If you're willing to accept $7 million, for the next 3 years, we can probably bring you back to this team. So both of those guys are going to be accepting their deals, and I think they're going to be the only guys we bring back. All right, now there's a handful of guys that are going to need extensions here, but you know what? We have the money to do so. We have $22 million, and then once we trade Bullbrook away, we're going to have even more. So we're going to start with Nemec. It's going to be $10 million for the next 3 years. That'll keep him around for the rest of the rebuild. When it comes to goalie, I'd like to do a similar deal. I think it's going to be 7.5 for the next 3 years. That's honestly not the worst contract in the world. And then when it comes to Fada, this is definitely a deal we can do. It'll be 2.6 for the next 3. And then to finish it off, Archer, $900K for the next 2 years. You're a 78 overall. You should be jumping into the lineup sooner than later. You'll actually be jumping into the lineup this season. So Bullbrook, we all knew I was trading you away. You're going to be sent over to the Anaheim Ducks. We're getting Hutton in a 2nd round pick here. We're just trying to free up cap space here. And then after we free up that $12 million, we're going to use that in free agency, and we're going to bring a superstar to the team. Unfortunately, when it comes to Hutton, he's just going to be a 1-year rental here because he's looking for $8 million. But for 1 season, he's going to be a good enough 4th line guy for us. So if we play our cards right, I think we might be able to get 2 superstar players. I'm going to give this guy $11.5 million for 1 season, and I'm pretty sure he's going to be willing to accept that contract. And then the next guy we're bringing to the team here, because I think we've only done 2 moves so far, Capo Caco, 1 year, $9 million. If I did 4 moves this season, I apologize, but I think I only did 3. So we're coming off a Stanley Cup, and the team's still looking amazing here. We have 0 weaknesses when it comes to the forward core. The defense might be better than last season. Like, the lowest overall is an 81, 86, 86, 88 on the left side. The right side's still looking really strong here. And when it comes to goaltending, Weeks, he might have dropped to an 86 overall, but he's got 2 X factors. He performed great for us in the postseason, and I'm hoping that he's going to be able to do that again this season. So the Nordiques are having a big bounce back season. We're back to 2nd in the entire league, a 51, 25, and 6 record. Compared to where we were last season during the regular season, I'm happy with where we are here. However, the scoring did take a massive step back here. The plus minuses are looking great. I mean, minus these 2 players right right here. Everyone else is looking fantastic. And when it comes to the goaltending, this is probably the best it's ever been. Kyle Weeks, 41 wins, 5 shots, a 910 to 265. If you can keep this up into the postseason, we're going to be looking good. We got the Columbus Blue Jackets in the first round. Let's make a statement. All right, I was straight yapping about this team. We aren't good by any means. We're off to Game 5 elimination. All right, so Game 5 elimination. Quebec better show out here, and of course they are. For some reason, with this team's facing elimination, they know how to show out. We're picking up 7 goals. Also, we're playing Austin Matthews, so I thought I'd point that out. Like, Matthews was a key part to this team's success last postseason. But you know what? Times have changed here, and we just have to pick it up heading into the third period if we want to be staying alive here, and that's not really happening. We're going to be falling to the Columbus Blue Jackets in the first round. They were a wildcard team. We lost to a wildcard team in the first round when we were looking to repeat. Ain't no way. Yeah, so that's a tough look for the Quebec Nordiques. We have 3 seasons left. We got to bring home at least 2 more Stanley Cups. Ideally 3, but we're going to start with 2. Now, but in all seriousness, what just went wrong for this team? The plus minuses don't look too bad here, unless there's just a couple guys that were completely sucking. It doesn't look like it. Yeah, we had 3 guys that maybe underperformed here. When it comes to the goaltending, a 918 to 219. Okay, we just didn't score. Plain and simple. This team just chose not to score during the first round, and that's going to be the reason we lose. And for a bit of context, where did we rank during the regular season when it came to offense? 5th. So yeah, the 5th best offense just got completely shut down. I think we also had the best defense. Yes, we did. So yeah, our defense continued to look amazing. There was no question about that. Our offense just completely vanished. So we're going to have ourselves a rematch of the 2023 Stanley Cup Final, but once again, Vegas is going to find a way to come out on top. They're going to be taking down Florida in 7 games. So just looking at who we have here for the re-sign phase, I don't think we're going to do too much here. We have $18 million to work with, but a lot of these guys are looking for like $2 million. Even some of the 70 overalls are looking for $2 million, and they don't even want 2-way deals. So if you're not looking to be reasonable here, you won't be coming back. So we didn't bring anyone back during the re-sign phase, but that doesn't mean we can't give players extensions here. Winkler, I'm going to be doing 8.6 for the next 4 years. Considering you have franchise potential, that's an absolute steal. Brock Faber, I don't really plan on bringing you back here. You're 32 years old, so I think I'm going to trade you away. And then Ryder Ritchie, barring the right price, will keep you on this team, but that's not the right price, so you're going to be walking. Also, Weeks, we're not going to be bringing you back either because you're looking for 10.7 million, so we're just going to ride out your contract for this season. Alright, so I'm hoping that we can go 1 for 1 here. It's going to be Thomas Harley over to the Winnipeg Jets for Timonen. Okay, that's going to be a really easy deal to get done. He's a handful of years younger, and they're basically the same overall. So we're going to keep on with the trades here, and this is going to be the next one. Brock Faber over to the Colorado Avalanche. We get Enroth. He's a great young defenseman here. 28 years old, 86 overall. He's going to be good for us. We're also getting Beckar, 85 overall, 3.3 million for the next 2 years. I'll definitely make that deal. And then to finish off the moves here, a first and 2 second rounders are going to be picking up a depth defenseman and some bottom 6 players for us. Are we giving up a lot here? Absolutely. Like, I gave up a first and 2 second rounders for a third pairing defenseman and some bottom 6 pieces. I'm bugging. But then again, we needed those players, so I had to make the trade. Alright, so I am concerned about this team. Like, we have 5 elite forwards here, but McCann's jumping into the top 6 and he's only an 82 overall. He's going to have to progress really quick here if this team's going to want to continue to compete. The bottom 6 is still looking great, and so is the defense. But when it comes to the goaltending, it's never looked this good. An 87 overall and an 85. This is the best goaltending tandem we've ever had. Archer, you're going to be taking over next season, but Weeks, you got 1 more to win us the Stanley Cup. So you've got ourselves another dominant season from the Quebec Nordiques here. First in the entire league, a 51, 22, and 9 record, but this means absolutely nothing if we don't step it up in the playoffs. Goalie, he was great this season, 83 points. Winkler was also great, 83 points, but come on, my guy, you got medium franchise potential. Get up to at least a 93 overall or something. When it comes to McCann, he had 53 points. He was plus 35, so he actually fits pretty good on that second line. When it comes to goaltenders, Weeks, it's your final season. You better cap it off with the Stanley Cup. A 913 to 261 is good, but this doesn't mean anything if you lose in the first round. We got the Pittsburgh Penguins in the first round. I don't recall how many times we've taken this team on the postseason. It has been that many, but you know what? All I know is Quebec's coming out on top. Now, although we're first in the entire league, it's not going to be an easy first round match. We split the series so far with the Pittsburgh Penguins. Luckily, we're going to be winning Game 5, and we should win Game 6 here, and that's exactly what's happening. We're off to the second round. So we made to the second round, and we're going to see the Florida Panthers here. This team made it all the way to the Stanley Cup Final last season, so you already know they're going to be a tough matchup. So similar to the Pittsburgh Penguins, Florida's going to split the series with us, and Game 5 is going to be a massive game. Who's going to be stealing that one? Of course, it's going to be the Quebec Nordiques, and we're moving on to the conference finals here after we go to Game 7, though. Alright, so it's an elimination game against the Florida Panthers. They're picking up 2 goals in the first period here. We're only picking up 1. The second period's not going to be going our way either. They're picking up another one, so we need a massive third period here, and that's not going to happen. Florida's going to keep putting on the pressure, and we're going to be dropping that one 5-1, and we're out in the second round. So the goal was 3 Stanley Cups in the final 3 seasons, but you know what? That's not going to happen here, but we got to win back-to-back to finish this rebuild off. The past couple seasons have definitely been tough on the Quebec Nordiques. Cutter Gaucher, 12 points in 13 games, but we're going to respond sooner than later. The Minnesota Wild, Stanley Cup champions, we only have 2 more years left in this rebuild. We got to pick up the pace. So although the last 2 seasons have been a bit difficult for the team, there is one positive. With the 95th overall pick, we're getting a mediumly potential goaltender, so he'll be a good enough trade asset. So here's the plan for the rest of the rebuild. Whoever is on this team for this season is on the team for next season. I want to have the exact same players for the next 2 years. So I don't know who's going to be sticking around here. If you're willing to accept a cheap deal, I'll bring you back. Ryder Ritchie, we just can't do that. Moss, how much are you looking for? 6.5 million. That's not happening for an 80 overall. Montgomery, where are you looking for? I don't really want to do that for a 75 overall. So everyone's going to be walking here. And on top of losing those forwards, we're also going to be losing weeks here. So the first thing we have to do is bring back our goaltenders. Archer, 1.5 for the next 2 years. I'm not even going to argue with you when it comes to that. And then wing goals, I mean, this is a bit expensive, but you know what? I'm not against it. I'll do 2.9 million for next season. So we're going to have both of our goaltenders locked down. We have 2 great goaltenders we can run. Now we just have to fill out the rest of the team here. Kane Lindstrom, I'm very scared for what you're going to be asking for. Yikes. I'm not too sure if we're going to be able to do that, so you might be walking here. Spooner, I know for a fact we're not going to be able to keep you on this team. What are you looking for? Okay, that's not awful, but I still want to trade you away. Beckar, I know we're not keeping you on this team. Brody, we're probably not keeping you as well. There's going to be a handful of changes happening here. So this is the first trade. Lindstrom over to the Seattle Kraken. We're going to get Nelson and 2 second-round picks here. Lindstrom, you've been a great player for us, but unfortunately your time's over here. We just can't afford to keep you on this team. They're really saying no to this. I don't want to do 1-for-1, but I think we're going to have to. That's a tough trade to make. So this is the next deal we're going to look at. Enroth and a 2nd-round pick over to the Buffalo Sabres. We cleared up about $9 million in this deal. Overall wise, I think we're getting slightly worse here, but not by much. The big reason we're doing this deal is we got to clear up cap space. So they can be saying no to this package so far. I'm willing to include a 1st-round pick. Here you go. Here's a 1st round from the Quebec Nordiques. They're still going to be saying no. I'll give you a 1st and a 2nd. I'm willing to trade as many draft picks as I have to. I just want to get this deal done, and I want to clear up that cap space. They're still saying no. You know what? Here's a medium-league potential goaltender. Which one do you want? You can have this one right here, and this should be more than enough to get this deal done. They're still saying no. 2 1st-round picks. We are getting absolutely stupid out here, but you know what? We have to get this deal done, and Buffalo's finally going to be saying yes. So this is the final trade we're making here. We're picking up 2 guys for the bottom 6, but I'm incredibly concerned. I don't think the team that we have right here can make the playoffs. I'm going to be completely honest. We just don't have the star power anymore. We've lost too many star players, and this team's going to suffer because of it. But you know what? We do have cap space, so that means we're going to be bringing everyone back here. Spooner, I'll give you 8.5 million. You're going to be returned to this team, no question about it. I'll give you an extra 100K, so here's 8.6. Beckar, you're also going to be returned to this team. Even though you're asking for way too much, we're still going to do it. Here's 6.8 for the next 4 years. Brody, I'll keep you on this team as well. It's a bit much, but here's 3.5 for next season. And then we got the 79 overall. I don't even know who this man is, but here's 1.5 million. You can join this team as well. So we've got everyone locked down for the next 2 seasons. It's going to be a grind, but there's one thing the Quebec Nordiques are known for, and that's surprising teams. So here we go, the final 2 seasons. It's going to be the exact same team here. We might only have 4 superstar forwards, but you know what? I'm actually not concerned. And you know why I'm not concerned? Here's our defense. We're not going to allow goals here. We really only need to score 2 goals per game because we're only going to be allowing 1. 89, 90, 84, 86, 86, 85. This defense is locked down. Nobody's scoring on us. We have 2 amazing goaltenders here. We're set. I've built the best defensive team in the entire league. Our defense is amazing. The goaltending is amazing. We just won't be able to score. It's full circle around here. So I want to make this clear right now. Our record does not indicate the team that we actually are here. We're 14th in the entire league. The difference between 14th and 7th in the entire league is like 3 points here. So yeah, we're actually a really good team. Don't worry about the standings. A 43, 30, and 9 record. Yes, I'm concerned about this team, but we're actually not that bad of a team. If we're only 3 points back of 7th in the entire league, that means we're only 5 points back of the top 5. So really things aren't too bad here. Our offense wasn't nearly as bad as I thought it would be. It's actually a lot better than I expected. Nemec 61 points here, Cargauche 62. A lot of these guys stepped up when they had to. When it comes to the goaltending, both of them sucked. We have what, an 86 and an 85 here, and both of them were just bad this season, and the thing we're known for is our defense. I can't explain this team, but you know what? We're making it to the postseason here. We have the Pittsburgh Penguins in the 1st round. Just don't choke. We have 2 seasons left in the rebuild. We got to get 2 more Stanley Cups. Okay, I'm going to be honest. I couldn't tell you what we're good at. Defensively, we have not been good the entire postseason, but we scored 8 goals in game number 1 and then 5 goals in game number 3. So are we a really good offensive team and bad defensively, or are we a great defensive team and bad offensively? We have to pick our identity here. We're scoring 7 goals in game number 6. We're a great offensive team, I guess. So we got past the Pittsburgh Penguins in the 1st round. They were a 51-win team, but we're completing that upset. We're off to the 2nd round with the New York Rangers up next. They're a great team, but you know what? I think Quebec's finally figured out what they have to do to win. Yeah, so you remember that thing about us finally figuring it out? Well, we're in Game 5 elimination here, and things have not looked good. Yeah, we're about to lose to the New York Rangers unless we complete some massive comeback here. We lost 5-2. one more season for the Quebec Nordiques. I said I wasn't going to make any moves, but I might do one free agent signing. I haven't decided yet. We're running back the exact same team. A lot of the young guys should get better, so if anything, this team's going to be in a better spot next season. No, but in all seriousness, what actually held this team back? Because offensively, we were actually very good during the postseason. The goaltending was absolutely abysmal, though. So are we a bad defensive team even though we have the best defensive core and best goaltenders in the league? And are we just a really good offensive team even though we have no offensive firepower? I really can't figure out the identity of this team. Alright, for this final season, we are going to make one signing, even though I said I was going to run the exact same team back. Cole Caulfield, here's $8 million. I don't know, maybe you can spark something for this team. So when it comes to this final season, Cole Caulfield, you're still a 30-goal scorer, even a 40-goal scorer a couple seasons ago. I'm going to get the last bit of hockey out of you. You're an 83 overall. If you play on the top line, we're getting a +5 boost. The forward core is actually looking a lot better this season, so I have a bit of faith here. When it comes to the defense, that's looking amazing. And when it comes to the goaltending, you already know that's going to be great as well. An 86 and an 85. Both of these guys have to step up this season. Both of them struggled last season, but you know what? That shouldn't have happened. We have a great defense in front of them. We have a great forward core in front of them. Just play up to your potential. It's the final season of the rebuild. You already know we got to cap it off for the Stanley Cup. So in the final season of the rebuild, the Quebec Nordiques, 4th in the entire league, a 48, 23, and 11 record. The team's looking a lot better this season. The offense is great, but so is that defense. The defense was the one lone question mark about this team. Last season, offensively, we were actually very good. And this season, we were great offensively once again here. However, I'm a bit concerned about the bottom six. Our top six can certainly score, but the bottom six, a bit iffy. When it comes to the goaltending, way better this season. I don't care who's in between the pipes, but I think we should go with Archer. A 23-3 record, a 913, a 253. Archer, I think you might have to be the starting goaltender. And that's actually what we're going to do here. I'm going to make the executive decision. Archer's going to be the guy. Because win goals, let's be honest, you really weren't that great this season. So Archer, you better not let me down. We got the Florida Panthers in the first round. If I make you the starting goaltender, you can't fold. You need to put on an absolute masterclass. Alright, I'm not going to lie, Archer, this is the biggest game of your career. Game number 5 here, and we're somehow going to win that one. We probably shouldn't have, but if we can close this out in game 6, I'll believe in you. This is the biggest game of your career now. We went from game 5 being the biggest to game 6 being the biggest, and then you allowed 6 goals. We can't lose in the first round again. I'm sorry, but that's not how the Quebec Nordiques are going out here. We're not going to lose in the first round. We're going to have a big third period here, and we're going to move on to the second round, because that's what we do around here. A big 5-4 victory, and we're advancing. Also, we scored back-to-back goals here in 19 seconds, and that's going to make the difference here. 2 goals in 19 seconds. This team's locked in. So we made to the second round. We got the Montreal Canadiens up next. Archer, you have to be better. You didn't give me the greatest showing in round number 1, but we were lucky to get by there. You got to step it up here. Your goaltending numbers, I know for a fact, don't look good. You got to pick them up. Offensively, we've been a great team so far, but it's that defense that's let us down. And although the defense continues to be a bit of a disappointment, we're going to keep on winning games here. We have a 3-1 series lead, and then we allow 6 goals. Do not blow a 3-1 series lead. What are we doing here? Somebody play defense. If we get past Montreal here, Archer's being pulled. I can't trust that man anymore. This game's been close so far the entire way. We're tied entering the third period here, and in the third period, Archer's completely falling apart. I need to know that man's numbers. He had a 23-3 record during the regular season. I don't care how good our offense was. I don't care about anything. I just want to see Archer's numbers. There is no way that man had a goals against below 3. I refuse to believe that is possible here. What did he post? An 895 and a 349. Winkles, you came in for one game and had an 888 and a 368. We had bad goaltenders, plain and simple. The reason the Quebec Nordiques aren't going to be seeing more success here is in the final 4 years, we decided to rock with guys like Stuart Wingles and Jermaine Archer, 2 of the worst goaltenders of all time. Like Archer, I don't even know how you can explain yourself. An 895 and a 349, Wingles an 888 and a 368. Neither of you guys stepped up when it mattered. The regular season numbers not looking great from you. I mean, this season you weren't bad, but you were the backup. Last season you were also the backup, but you posted an 896 and a 311. It's kind of funny though. The best season that you had, although your numbers weren't good, was this season right here. You had a 19-5 record, 1 shutout, an 887 and a 329. Now these aren't the worst numbers you had. These numbers are actually worse than that, but the funniest part is this is when you were a 60 overall. You were a 60 overall when you put up numbers like this. Your 2031, 2032 numbers are very close to your 2036, 2037 numbers. Like they are almost identical. The big difference, 20 overalls. It was basically a 20 overall jump between those seasons, and somehow you still sucked. So Quebec, I'm sorry, that's on me. We had the defensive core, we had the forward core, we had absolutely everything on this team in order to succeed, except the goaltender. We're a long ways away from the years of Jeremy Swayman dominating.